Introducing you to the people of Uniondale. This is the Voice of Uniondale, Nicole Burke.
Hi, friends. Welcome back. Or if you're new to the show, welcome to the Voice of Uniondale. I'm your host, Nicole Burke, and today I'm thrilled to introduce an inspiring leader and true beacon of hope from our very own community, Dr. Ursula Moorer. Dr. Ursula's journey began right here in Uniondale, where she grew up as a proud graduate of the local school district. From an early age, she showed incredible talent and determination, excelling as a champion athlete in track and field and a gifted musician. Her dedication earned her county titles and all-state honors, proving that with passion and hard work, dreams can become reality. Her commitment to service and leadership blossomed during her time at Temple University, where she majored in communications and gave back by leading community projects and volunteering with Habitat for Humanity. Dr. Ursula's spirit of giving and empowerment shines through everything she does. In education, Dr. Ursula has made a powerful impact, earning advanced degrees, including a doctorate in transformational leadership. As assistant principal of Glen Cove High School, she leads with heart and vision, advocating for equity and inspiring students and teachers alike. Beyond the classroom, Dr. Ursula carries forward her late father's legacy as executive director of the Biffco Foundation, creating life-changing programs for youth, providing scholarships, organizing sports, and building strong community partnerships. Dr. Ursula's story is a powerful reminder that leadership rooted in love, resilience, and service can uplift entire communities. Get ready, friends, to be inspired by her incredible journey right here on The Voice of Uniondale. Friends, let's welcome Dr. Ursula Moorer to the show. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
Hi. So, what's going on with Dr. Ursula? What's going on with you now?
What's going on with me? I got to be honest, I am tired. But honestly, I can put it in that I am, now I'm 43. I can look back at my life and I'm truly, truly grateful and blessed. You know, Uniondale is home. Mm-hmm. Literally home. Mm-hmm. I came home from the hospital, and you know that's the home I grew up in, and I just so happened to buy property, and I'm still here. Uniondale will always have a part of my heart. But what's going on? I'm just honestly and truly soaking it all in. You know, I've always been the type of person that you just work, and I've never looked for accolades. I believe in being humble. I am talkative, but I believe in being humble and I just work, and I didn't learn how to stay in the moment. Now that I'm in my 40s, I've learned how to truly stay in the moment. The next day is not promised. And it's when I got my doctorate that a few of my family members were crying. My mother's not very much an emotional person, but a few of my family members were crying because the topic I chose to talk about exclusionary practices, focusing on suspensions within schools. I focused on Black girls. Didn't think much of it. It was just where my passion was.
Right.
And I got all into it. I'm an advocate for children, advocate for just doing what's right. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until my family member reminded me that you're one generation outside of segregation. And to just be grateful and take in what my ancestors did, the possibilities that we have, there's still more to go.
Yes.
But take a step back and look what you did. And I honestly didn't even think about it. My parents were products of integration and segregation, and my mom moving to the north and my dad being born in New York City. I didn't think much about it. So it's me pretty much living in the moment. I don't know how to live in the moment. I know, like, when you like to work and you like to just do what's right, sometimes you leave that behind. So I've been learning how to not slow down, but just acknowledge that, you know what, okay, you live in a moment. So, and been in education since I'm concluding my 22nd year. My biggest reward is my children. I don't physically have any children, but when my children come back to me and they're like, you don't know how much you meant to me or how much of an impact, I was just being myself. So those are the things that have been going on with me. Like, like I said, I'm tired, but I'm tired because I pour 110% of myself into what I do. And I believe if you're going to do something, you do it well.
All right. That's true. Let's go back to high school.
Sure.
You talk about your children come back to you and say how much you've meant to them in their lives. Who has meant that to you in your life?
Besides my parents, I mean, anyone who knows me, I talk about my parents, my family, like all that. Let's see. I had Two of my favorite teachers I had growing up. One, I went to Smith Street Elementary School in Uniondale, kindergarten through 6th grade. So in Uniondale, I am a K through 12er. So I went there. My 2nd grade teacher, her name was Miss Jones. And I don't know if she listens. I don't know where she is right now. But she, school was never really fun for me, which is funny because I did well in school, but school was just never fun. I just felt like just get the job done when I was younger.
Right.
When I got older, I think I flourished and kind of figured out like what kind of made me happy. But I felt like she provided the love and nourishment that I felt that some of my other teachers didn't give. Not that they intentionally may have done something to me, but for some reason I gravitated to her.
Right.
And I think I gravitated to her because I felt safe with her. And I didn't realize how important that is until I became an educator, where the way you talk to children, the way you make them feel. And she was my reading teacher. She wasn't even my teacher I had all day. She also looked like us. She looked like me. My 1st grade teacher was Black too, but my 2nd grade, I remember she was my reading teacher. I just loved everything. Then 3rd grade, I talk about Miss Kalman to this day. I still keep in touch with her actually too. She this short blonde woman, like probably 5'1". She drove a convertible.
Yes.
Dressed impeccably. I mean, her classroom was run like a well-oiled machine. Those two, when I was younger, meant so much to me. And she just, between the two of them, I felt like they told me, Ursula, you can be great. Like your parents tell you can be great, but they like, but these are two women that they didn't really know me or whatever the case may be. So in high school, they meant a lot. My coaches always meant a lot to me in the sense of them going above and beyond and me not understanding how much time they sacrificed and poured into us until I left them. So, I spent more time with them probably than I spent with my parents when I was, doing that. So I probably would say my coaches and those two teachers, and I had some other teachers along the way, but when I was younger, before I even reached the age of 10, those two always stood out in a sense of how much it was that they meant to be.
That's amazing that you could remember 2nd grade. But that just shows what an impact they were in your life. And look at you now, and I'm sure you're going to go on to do more great things once you rest, right?
I don't know what that is. I'm like, what is that, rest? I don't get that.
Are you going to be going on vacation?
Yeah, I do have some vacations planned this summer, so I'm proud of myself. Yes, I actually planned some vacations, yes.
Okay, so while you're there, decompress. Don't pick up your phone. Nothing to do with work.
But you know what is interesting, too, as we talk, like growing up or whatever, you figure I graduated from high school in 99, and my dad, who was always supportive, my parents were very supportive in the sense of you could just go do whatever it is that you want to do. We'll support you as long as it's not, you haven't lost your mind.
Right.
I'm the child of also educators. One thing I didn't say, too, my mom also taught in Uniondale as well. So while I was in the Uniondale school system, my mother was a teacher in Uniondale schools, too. She retired there in, I don't know, like 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
So we have this, and I was always very dedicated to sports and legitimately loved sports.
Did you know that Uniondale High School now has a girls wrestling team that started this year?
It's fantastic. And I know it's a growing sport. Gives children the opportunity for scholarships.
Yes.
And I am totally in love with it. So I love Uniondale High School has that. As I was saying, in my high school I teach at now in Glen Cove High School. It's the first year they started the flag football team. So we have girls flag.
Amazing.
So as I'm seeing these sports grow, I love, if I did not go into doing what I was doing, at some point, the sports still come back into it because I think that's where I became, I was heavily into sports, personal training, all that kind of stuff, started lifing. But it's always still within me, And I think that also growing up here with the support of my parents and the community, that probably left the biggest imprint. In
sports.
Yes.
And plus, it fosters camaraderie, leadership skills.
Yes.
And look at you.
A lot of the intangibles, you're young. It also teaches you teaches you that you can't win everything. I was emotional. I was one of those kids out there crying when I lost, and my parents would be like, suck it up. You got to learn how to lose.
Were you an only child?
No, I have an older brother.
Oh, okay.
But track is a very individualized sport, so it's not so much of a team sport. Opposed to relying on your teammates. When I played other things, that was different. But, you're in track where I had the most success.
Right.
You're out there, you're by yourself. And if you mess up, it's on you.
Right.
Maybe it just wasn't your day. And you learn. You also have to learn how to be coachable.
True.
You have to learn how to be moldable. You have to learn how sometimes humility shut up, which I think is a very difficult concept for our children and people today. But, as I reflect, I can look at my behavior like, maybe that wasn't the best, but it helped mold me into who I am.
Right, right. What does a day look like for Dr. Ursula Moorer now?
So a day looks like I'm up usually by 5:15
Okay.
in the morning. I hit snooze a few times. So,
Thank you for being honest.
Well, this year I switched. I started in one school district, and then I switched in the middle of the school year to a different school district.
Okay.
For a different leadership opportunity. So the commute to Glen Cove in the morning is not very difficult, but not very long. Home is a different story. So I get up about 5:15. My clothes are usually picked out. I get ready, whether it means I do whatever it is that I need to do. I'm usually out my door roughly 6:15, 6:20.
Okay.
Jim's Deli, another staple within Uniondale.
Yes.
They already know my order. I call it in. I call it in. I pick it up. I'm off to work. I usually get to work, usually between 6:50 and 7. 6:50 and 7, I normally get to work. Pull into my parking spot. My students are starting to enter the building. They're starting to enter the building. Usually by 7:25, it is literally on and popping. The bell is ringing. The kids they're all over the school there. I'm clearing the hallways. Everybody out of the hallway. They're looking at me like, who's this lady? Get out the hallway. Yeah, you know, let's go. So from 7:30 to 2:06, my students are in classes. They're in session. I'm dealing with everything from a parent meeting to disciplining students to having to meet with the superintendent, assistant superintendent, running a guidance department, perhaps doing a drill, perhaps having to observe a teacher, perhaps what just happened on the week. There was a leak in a teacher's classroom. I had to reroute all of the classrooms, planning a field trip, any and everything you could think of. All of those things come in, and anyone who works in education knows each day is not the same. So it can be something like that. So by 2:06, my students are dismissed from school, but there's still students in the school. So 2:05 to 2:35 is extra help. There's always some stragglers. Oh, and detention. So I'm also running down my students with detention. I always make a joke. If I have to sweat my blowout out to come find you, we're going to have some problems. So I send my students to detention. And usually between 2:05 to 2:05 to 4, I'm catching up on the paperwork and things that I could not do during the day. Returning phone calls. Sometimes I have to sit on Google Meets. My school now uses a lot of Google Meets, not Zoom. Do that, tying up the day, checking in with my secretary, looking at my calendar. Sometimes I'm like, how did those events get there? And I forgot my secretary probably put them in there because somebody scheduled something. So then from there, I try to get to my car by 4 p.m.
Okay.
That does not always happen.
Okay.
So I try to get there by 4 p.m., provided I don't have a night event. If I have a nighttime event, which could be, so this week I had school awards. So at 2:30, I also had our cabinet for all the administrators in the school district. We had to meet from 2:30 to 4. Then I had a break from 4 to 5:30. 5:30, I was the MC to one of the awards.
Okay.
And then from 7:30 to 9 was another awards. So I got in my car at 9:30 and I came home.
Just knock out.
Yeah. So, I mean, it varies from day to day. Sometimes I'm going to athletic events. On days that I don't have that, I'm usually home by 5.
Okay.
5:15.
Okay.
I decompress.
Good.
I try to make sure that I have some type of dinner plans, go for a walk.
Good.
Meditate, and I try to pick a TV show that I like. So
Okay.
and I watch something. But that's a typical day for me.
I'm tired just listening to one of your days. So I understand when you say in the beginning when I ask you how things are, you're tired. Okay. And the school year is getting ready to run
Yes.
up. Do you work during the summer times?
I do work
As an
during the summer.
Okay.
It slows down.
All right.
It slows down because there are no students in the building.
Right.
So it's a lot of catch-up work, planning for the next school year. Even though I'm tired, I feel fulfilled. So I always try to make sure that I put that in there. I enjoy the work that I do. But sometimes, you have to find that work-life balance.
Yes. I don't
so
think
whether
there's
it be
such a thing, but okay.
It's like you think about the work obligations. Oh, and also a typical day too is that that's work. I mean, I didn't even include my personal life. Who knows? I could be doing things with an organization I'm a part of. I could be doing,
Right.
I could have those meetings or whatever the case may be. So it's always something, but I will say I do listen to my body. So if I am tired, I also have no
sleep.
problem sleeping and also telling people, no, I'm not available.
Good for you.
I have no problem doing it.
Good for you. Was that hard to do, or were you always like that?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think I wasn't always that way.
Okay.
But I do think I am the type, I have been the type where I would say I can't stay out all hours of the night. I do enjoy my sleep.
Yes.
But I'm also an early riser. So it's not uncommon. My friends will tell you, and my family, they're like, oh, it's 5 o'clock. Ursula's awake. Ursula's not. 11 o'clock at night, I'm asleep. They know I don't. I don't.
We've got to be twins. 'Cause I'm serious. I'm just like that. Everybody knows. Don't call my phone. It goes on Do Not Disturb at 8:01 p.m.
They know
you
the
can't
rules.
get me.
They know the rules. I'm like, so it's funny. Like my line sisters, they'll always make a joke. They're like, we're like, if I go to Philly and visit for something, they'll say, I'm like, no, I'm going home tonight. They're like, you? They're like, you fall asleep for everything. I'm like, what do you mean? No. I'm like, I can make it home. I just need to be on the phone with someone. They look at me. They're like, no. But I cherish my sleep. I cherish my sleep, and that's something I will sacrifice it if it means I have to get something done.
Yes,
but I can't do it for like 2 weeks straight. I just don't feel it's healthy. I'm like, and why would you do it to yourself? Like,
I totally understand. I get it. I agree with you. I'm just looking in the mirror when I see you. Let's just switch over to your nonprofit organization that your dad started. Talk a bit about Biffco. How did that come about?
So I think Biffco came about, I'm going to be 100% honest, I don't know what drove him to do it. Okay. And in full transparency, since COVID, we haven't been up and running to full strength like we were in the past, just because it's just been a lot. So I think my father's vision, because he's not here to talk to me about it, I think his vision was he had always worked with other not-for-profits. So for a while, he was the executive director of the Martin Luther King Center in Long Beach. He had worked with Freeport. I think back then they were Operation Pride, maybe. Now they're called Freeport Pride. Okay. He had worked with in Hempstead with Operation Get Ahead. So he had worked in different arenas with that. Okay. I also think at some point he worked in sports and recreation management, but I'm not really sure on that. So he'd done these programs where he'd always talk to me about partnerships, and he felt as though you could thrive more if you come together and you work with people. Yes. So, I would just always kind of do work. So then from that, I remember when I was in college, my senior year, I think in Freeport schools, they had a 21st century program. And not a 21st century program. I think they did something with a 21st century grant. Okay. And then I think from there, he called it the 21st century program, so don't quote me on that. But through that, he had this early college awareness program. And the kids came on a tour, and they actually visited me when I was in school. Temple just happened to be a stop along the way. Right. So we took the students on like a tour through the school, and they had gone to different colleges as well. But Temple was one of the schools that stopped in it. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, because when I was little, I didn't think anything about going on a college tour. Right. But I also think my parents were also college graduates. So because my parents were college graduates, my exposure to things was a little bit different than perhaps maybe a child who did not have, their parents didn't have that life. It's not no slight to anyone or not, but my parents taking me to homecoming, exposing me to fraternities and sororities when I was younger. It just very much was their life. So when I graduated, I started working with him a little bit. So I just was like, oh, okay. And then I think that's where it came from. Okay. And the way I got involved with it is because as he started to get older and, his health started to decline, he said, I want you to start, doing more work. So I said, fine. I love organizational management. That did not go over well with him because he wanted things his way. But then when I brought him into the 21st century with like spreadsheets and showing him how to do things, he was like, wait a minute. We got something here. So behind the scenes, I did a lot of work. Okay. Then when he really had to step down, he said, listen, I want you to be in charge. So I said, sure. And I think that came about just because he always wanted to do work within the community, and he wanted to show that there's power when you do things collaboratively together versus trying to do them separately. So from that, he started off with 8 teams. And I said, well, Daddy, why can't we grow? Why can't it be like 16 teams? He started off with T-shirts. My brother said, why can't we do T-shirts and shorts? I said, let's make it work. Stretching the budget, doing the different things. First, there was a Friends of Nassau contract. And then from Nassau, that got cut. And then we ended up doing, who were we with? Friends of Nassau. Then I think that got cut from the funding. And then we were under HUD. So we ended up doing HUD, Community Development Block Grant, I think, or Community Block Development. Yes. So I think I had 2 contracts with them. We did that. And then, we just different ways of trying to service the community. Then after a while, I had decided to go back to school. And, we're in the revamping stage in the sense of like, I want to expand just further past basketball. You know, what can we do? So even looking for community sponsors, even who sponsored us? I got someone from, I think one of the gyms I worked at, I think they started to sponsor. So I think that's where it came from. Just working collaboratively and trying to help those that help students and people just be exposed to different things.
Wow.
Sorry, I was like, I'm roundabout there. I'm like, you know.
Okay. It's exciting. So, well, you touched all my questions, like what's next for them? What's next for you?
So what's next for me?
Yes.
What's next for me?
Well, I don't even know if you can say or if you can think of it because you were at one school doing one position and halfway through you become an assistant principal someplace else. So what's on the horizon that you would like to see for you? I think that's a better question.
What I would like to see for me is, good question. I want to see me delving more into my interests and my loves. Like, you know, like I told you before, I went to school for communications. So I've always been a dream of mine to always have a podcast or have some type of vlog. And this has been like a dream of mine for like 20 years and I never did. So It's like now that all these different avenues and different platforms have come up. Like when I was in school, YouTube didn't exist. Now we have YouTube.
Right.
You know, an iPhone didn't exist. So, you know, now these things, even in editing software is not as expensive as it used to be. Like, you know, so there's so many different things that I've always wanted to explore. So I'm looking into exploring things that I love. Like, you know, I've always sacrificed myself for other people. So it's like, why? I got to tap into me.
Yes.
You know, and have some good time. So that's really what's next, I think, for me. Just, and I also want to travel more. Like this summer, I've never been to Europe. So this summer I'm going to Europe. Okay. I'm going to London and Paris.
Nice.
And, wherever else may be on there. Probably following food blogs because I like to eat. So I want to see like experiments with different food. But that's really more what I want. Like I just want to experiment more with just what I want, you know, and stuff like that. So
I think that's the beginning. Well, not the beginning, but that's a continuation of being in the moment for you. So good. I'm going to hold you accountable for that. I'm going to call you up and be like, now that I know you're up at 5, text you, be like, hey, are you doing anything for yourself?
Yes. And, you know, the transition too, like before I didn't have to work in the summer unless it was my choice. Now I have to.
Right.
So it's like the summers I would always use to just unwind. I do a good job of detaching from work. I do an excellent job of that. Like the straight hair is gone. The curls in the bush are back and that I'm free and just, you know.
Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Ursula, I'm having so much fun talking with you. And I'm watching the clock and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's time to go. Share something, share your contact information if anybody wants to keep you accountable for being in the moment or just want to know how to go about getting into the field of education. How can they get in contact with you?
Sure. My contact information is, actually, you can find me on Glen Cove's website if you look at assistant principal. But my personal information is my first and last name, URSULA, last name MOORER @gmail.com. Also, my Instagram is public, URS_MOFIT, so UrsMoFit. That was my page dedicated to fitness, but it's a little bit of everything that's on there. And I'm also on LinkedIn, so feel free to reach out to me, my first and last name. But if anyone wants to get into education, it starts with, there are multiple pathways to get yourself into education. You can major in it when you went to school. You can do that. You graduate, you still want to go back to school for it. You still can start a journey in the master's field, you know, if you want to do that. In addition, you could also call New York State. You can call New York State Education Department, which we call NYSED, and you can ask them based off your work experience and your current credits, or what fields could you go into, what can be transferable. You can talk to them. They can lead you sometimes even within the local college or university that you want to go to. They can help lead you in a direction in the sense of how many credits that they will take, what exams are required of you, and then from there look at what area within education interests you. So it doesn't always have to be English, science, social studies, or math, even though I am a math woman. It's very hard to find a Black woman in STEM. But yes, I taught math for 22 years. Your life experience sometimes counts too. And also some of the jobs of which you've had may count. So look at those things, and they also have other certifications outside of those. It could be anything from technology. There's a shortage in technology. Business teachers, a lot of business teachers come from actually working as, I'm just going to throw something out there, like maybe finance, accounting. Many of them have taught on the collegiate level. So just call and ask. You never know. New York State has internship certifications, all these different types of things that can get you in the classroom.
Great. That's great information. Thank you for sharing. We are at the end of the show, and the way I like to wrap up the show is by asking my guests to share something positive, something insightful that they've learned throughout their journey, being that the show comes on Wednesdays. Sometimes they might be down, and just to uplift them for the rest of the week. Here's your opportunity to do this.
One thing, if you might be down, there are two things I always say. One of my students asked me this, 17 years old, very insightful. He said, Dr. Moorer, if you had one advice to leave with us, what would it be? I said, just let it go. He said, it's not worth it. He said, what do you mean? I said, certain things, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get over. But I said, just let it go. I said, once you still hold on to things, it kind of controls, it has some type of control over you. I said, it's almost like something is taking up space rent-free in your head. I said, don't allow it to take up space rent-free in your head. Now, that might take some time and some work, but there has to be a way that you have to learn how to let it go, because that will determine sometimes how you choose, how your actions, your opinions. Don't do that. I said, if you can find a way, let it go. My second thing, and this is one that I've had to come to terms with probably over the past 3 to 4 years, do not let anyone determine your destiny. If you want it, go for it. And it might take you longer to get there, and your path may look differently than somebody else's, but you can get there. And sometimes it's hard getting there by yourself. So don't be afraid to share your dreams and aspirations with someone that you trust, because there's this whole community that's out there that is willing to help you. And I'll give the example. When I was getting my doctorate degree, I wasn't quiet about it, but I wasn't necessarily advertising it. When I needed help at the end, I didn't realize how many people were willing to help. When I needed people on my dissertation committee, they were like, what do you need? What do you need? We'll help you do this. We'll help you do that. And these were people I barely knew. And they helped drag me across that finish line when I was ready to give up. So you never know what you could achieve with community.
Wow. So powerful. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Friends, you've heard it here from Dr. Ursula Moorer. She is currently the assistant principal over the Glen Cove School District. She's born and bred here, still living here in Uniondale. She says 2 things. Let it go. Don't allow people to take up space in your mind rent-free. Keep your power to yourself. Hold on to your power. And she also says your destiny is yours. It's nobody else's but yours. Find somebody who you trust to share your dreams and aspirations with, because when it gets to the finish line, when you get close to the finish line, you're going to need that group of people to cheer you on and help you. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Got it? Okay. Perfect. Thank you again, Dr.
Welcome.
Ursula, for being here. Thank you, friends, for listening. You are listening to The Voice of Uniondale. My name is Nicole Burke. Make sure to come back next week to hear another journey from Uniondale, and follow us on Spotify at The Voice of Uniondale to hear more stories from Uniondale. Bye for now.